I've had to deal with a lot of adversity across my career, and being in the job that I am, I've seen a lot of sailors deal with adversity. I just believe that it's being able to deal with a hard time and bounce back from it and become better, or better than you were the first time when you had to deal with that situation.
Good evening, Sasebo. Good evening, 7th Fleet. This is Chaplain Lawrence with episode 10 of Taps with Chaps. And we're continuing our conversation, our discussion on resiliency. And today we have a special guest with us. We have Command Master Chief Rudy Johnson, who's our CMC here at Commander Fleet Activity Sasebo. Welcome, Master Chief.
Hey, thanks, Chaps. I just wanted to say thanks to Chaps for inviting me over to do this. I do a monthly radio show, and for me, this is just another opportunity to get out there and talk to people a little bit and try and get our messages out. And of course, I go to church with Chaps. Chaps is my father, so I really enjoy hanging out with Chaps and doing things like this.
Awesome, awesome. Well, tell me and tell our audience a little bit about yourself. What's your background? What's your story?
So I've been in the Navy for 26 years and some change. I started off as a deck seaman and then became an SH along the way. And then somehow somebody thought I'd be really good at the Master at Arms job, so I became a Master at Arms. And I did that for about 18 years before I finally became a Command Master Chief. Wow. I'm married to my wife, Dory, of 25 years in 2 months from now. And I've got a daughter, Angela, who's in college in the University of Colorado Springs.
Wonderful. And so you come with a breadth of experience and knowledge, both through different rates, but also just in terms of your time in the Navy. And so our discussion is focusing on resiliency. So I'm sure you've seen and heard the resiliency issue throughout your career. First, I guess, how would you define that term resiliency? What does that look like from your experience and from your perspective as a Command Master Chief?
Yeah, for me, it's pretty easy. I've had to deal with a lot of adversity across my career, and being in the job that I am, I've seen a lot of sailors deal with adversity. I just believe that it's being able to deal with a hard time and bounce back from it and become better, or better than you were the first time when you had to deal with that situation.
What are some examples or common things that you hear in terms of resiliency issues that sailors or families face?
I would say probably the most common right now is, and I guess it has been for about the last 5 or 6 years, is the younger and younger sailors are coming in. We're getting 18, 19, 20-year-olds in now, and leaving their family back at home and traveling to a place like this overseas where contact is minimal, and so all they have is just Facebook, FaceTime, and all the other social media outlets. But many people need human contact from their family to feel secure in their environment, and so I'd say that's probably what I see as one of the biggest things, is these young folks coming overseas and having to deal with that family separation.
Do you think that looks any different if you're a sailor on the shore versus if you're a sailor on one of the ships?
I think it's exactly the same. It's funny because in the United States, a sailor could be on a ship and then be right there with their sailors or with their family. When you come overseas, a sailor can be here on shore duty, but they're still 7,000, 8,000 miles away from their family back in the United States. Going on a ship is no different here. They're still 7,000, 8,000 miles away from their family. But I guess the difference for me would be that on the ship, it's such a small platform, or even on an LHD or a carrier, you have a huge support network with all the people on the ship to look to for help if you need some.
What do you see in terms of the benefits of a sailor who has a challenging situation? Maybe it's family, maybe it's work-related, stress-related in some way, and then they're confronted with this challenge, but then they're able to move through it in their career, and that's probably true from E1 to E7 to to O1 to O7, throughout the whole spectrum and range of experiences. How do you see sailors develop over your lengthy time in the Navy and become kind of a better, more resilient sailor throughout their career?
Yeah, I guess I have to say, resiliency has no rank. It doesn't matter if you're E1 or the O10, you're going to deal with challenging times. And, I view things like having to deal with challenging times as an experience. It's an experience that, for one, you learn from and you have to work through. And then you have that experience to help other people who may be dealing with those similar things. And one of the things I talk about a lot in my radio show, in doc, you name it, is the family environment that I would like for Sasebo to have, and the community just helping each other out, so that when we do come up, when sailors or family members do come up with these, are dealing with these issues, somebody somewhere here has had to deal with one of those before, and their experience can help them get through it much easier.
In the past, I would say 5 or 6 months or so, as we've entered the world of COVID-19, and that has really impacted us as a nation, us as a Navy. Have you seen different challenges or new challenges arise in the resiliency picture?
Yeah, people have to, I really believe that people have to find new things to entertain themselves and new things to keep their mind busy, because the COVID has kind of like locked us down a little bit. And so one thing that I've done to try and do this for myself is I'm reading more, I'm praying more, I'm trying to educate myself. And for anybody who's listening out there, you got to take advantage of this extra time. You use it to educate yourself and to learn more. You're going to be a better person in the long run because of it.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of things I think that sailors or families can do, in the face of, well, my gym is closed down, I can't go work out. Well, there's plenty of things that you can do in your home and in your house, or around your neighborhood if you can get out. I think there's lots of resources out there, but what are some of the resources? If people don't know where to go, who to talk to, how to reach out, what are some of the steps that they can take?
So, over the years, we've built up so many resources that, sometimes it's difficult for people to even realize how many we have. But I'll start with the first resource that I think that most people should go to, and that's their chief. Either the chief may be able to help them, or the chief knows the resources they need to be able to get them to the right folks. And then if your chief happens to be maybe a newer chief and they aren't 100% sure, you got resources like Fleet and Family Support Center. We've got some military family and life counselors. We've got our chaplains. Heck, you got me. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're in my command or not in my command. If you need help, my motto is to help other people. And so come see me, come see the Chaps, see Fleet and Family, see a shipmate, see one of your friends that you might feel comfortable with and able to talk through something.
That's awesome. And I think we do have a lot of resources out there, and just sometimes people aren't aware of them. They don't know where to start. And honestly, sometimes I think the hardest part is just asking, having the courage and the strength to say, I could use some help right now, or I'm just not in a good place. I need to talk to somebody. And making that first step, that first effort to say, yeah, I need to talk to somebody. That's sometimes the biggest challenge. Anything you want to share in terms of like maybe personal stories or specific cases where you've had resiliency, then you've been able to kind of come through the other side? Because I love success stories. I think the more success stories we hear, the better. Yeah,
well, first I want to start with keying on something you said about having to deal with issues and so many resources. I know that people don't look at the chaplains as much as or their chief as much, but the chaplain is they have a confidentiality piece about them that if you needed help, do you want to go see the chaplain? I never talked to many chaplains along the line, and then when I realized that what a great resources they are, I did go talk to them, and I appreciate it a lot. But on the home front of something I had to deal with and work through, that's pretty difficult for me, simply because I stay positive through just about everything. I look at every situation, I try and find the positive in that situation. So for one, I can be the best CMC for my command and my community. And for two, because I want to set a good example for other folks. There is one time that I had an issue, and it was recently. And it was when I took over as CMC of the USS Wasp. Absolutely wonderful ship, by the way. But the Wasp had come from Norfolk, Virginia, and I don't feel like the crew understood the operationalness of FD&F. And so I took over as a CMC of the ship, who had been operational my whole life. And so to listen to other people's perspectives on, like, why are we deploying so much? Why don't we get so much time off? Just so many different things. That was a challenge for me, and I didn't sleep for the first 3 months I was a CMC of WASP. I mean, I maybe slept an hour a night, because I would come home at the end of the night, and I would just continue to think about, like, what can I do to try and get these people in the mindset of FD&F and operational, and going out there. And we did so many great things for our country and for our Navy. And I didn't sleep for a while, but I just, for me, I just pushed through it. And my resource at the time was my wife. She's always been my rock, and just talked to her, and she helped me get through it.
And we hear that a lot, the sleep issue. I mean, with sailors and family members, sleep comes up a lot, because especially on a ship or where your op tempo is really high, it's so easy to put sleep on the back burner and say, I got this to do, I got these calls to do, I have a watch to stand, I have this admin to do, I have this PQS to do, I'm working on my ESWAS. And oh yeah, I forgot to sleep today. And finding time for priorities for that self-care piece, eating right, exercising, sleep, taking care of your mind and your body, so that when you engage your work, when you engage your watches, you're fit, you're focused, you're on point. And it's so easy for us to neglect that it's such a critical part of our individual success and our force's success. So thank you for that, CMC. We all have points in our life, in our workplace, professional, personal, that we can always fine tune. We can always just focus it a little bit more, and that's never a bad thing. So, any final words, final thoughts that you want to share with us on resiliency?
Yeah, I just want to say that one of the things that I think is important about being resilient in the Navy and in life is making sure that you touch all 4 areas of resiliency for me. And so I try and do something physically for myself daily, and for me that's working out. I try and do something emotionally, that's loving my wife. I try to do something spiritually. I pray every morning and every night before I go to bed, and I go to church every Sunday. And then trying to do something, I'm trying to think of it's education-wise, for my mind, and so I read or listen to books or something like that. But I try and touch those 4 areas every day, or at least at least touch them once a week, so that I can make myself be a little more resilient and better tomorrow than I was today or the previous day.
And we're all about that in the Navy. We got this saying, leave it better than you found it. Well, that includes yourself. Mm-hmm. You should be coming better every single day, every week, and so that's awesome. Thank you again, Command Master Chief Johnson, for sharing with us, your insights and your wisdom, and thank you to all the sailors, the Marines, the family members of Sasebo and also the 7th Fleet area for all your efforts, for your resiliency. This is Chaplain Lawrence signing off this week. We'll see you next week. Take care.